The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
The NWA heavyweight champion, and at the time you had to be able to go 60 as a babyface or a heel as a champion. And this guy had been around, and he was polite with everybody, but I wasn't intimidated. I didn't think I was good enough to even talk to him. But when that'd be like you're breaking in baseball and you're playing baseball with Babe Ruth, and you don't want to talk to Babe Ruth because you don't feel you're worthy of him. And that's the way I felt, was because I knew I was the shits, and I never thought I would stay in the business as long as I did here, of just talking shit and doing whatever.
Drew Wilson knows how to keep us on live here. Hey Rip, how you liking this 80-degree weather? It's $10 super chat.
This is the greatest weather we've had here today.
Opinions on Monty and the Pharaoh.
Oh yeah, I watch them on the internet a lot of times. They're really good. I like them. They have some great guests on there. I like their opinions. As a matter of fact, they're over with me. I watch them as much as I can, just as much as I watch Jimmy Cornette stuff, and that's probably the main two that I like. But then again, I like James. I like to watch James's stuff, and then God, I see the guy. I've been on his show, but I can't. The dark haired guy, this and that. But anyway,
I've never heard of Monty and the Pharaoh.
Yeah, they're good. You can Google.
They wrestling?
Yeah, it's all about wrestling stuff.
Oh.
What's up, Jimmy? How are you, buddy?
Good. What's going on, brother?
Just another day in the neighborhood. Jimmy, thanks for coming on. I called Jimmy earlier this afternoon. I'm like, Jimmy, want to do a show? We had a lineup. We were doing everything on Friday, so Jimmy's only got Thursdays and Fridays off from work.
Correct.
So, I don't like to take both of his days, but I'm like, Jimmy, you want to do a show? And he's like, I don't know. And then he calls me, let's do a show. So glad you made it, man. Got a lot to talk about. A lot of stuff to talk about. I want to do a quick roll call, Jimmy, because
all right,
we don't get a chance too often to do it. So again, no problem. Jason, morning in the house. My friend Jason.
What's up, Jay?
This band
yes.
He has not been around for a while, but I noticed he's been coming around with When It Was Real and Dan and Benny in the Ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
The beautiful Beth is there. We got Tim Mandeville. Tim, don't get mad at me. I have to apologize because I can't see the glare from my sunglasses, and I won't take it off.
Mike, I've been thinking. I think I should get prescription sunglasses, man.
You really should, dude.
It's time, man. I can't read at all when I'm got the shades on. It's like
so these are newer prescriptions. But the way my computer is, the reflection is so
there's a glare, huh?
So when I was in studio, there was no glare. I could see everything, right? But now that we're not in studio for the time being, it's a problem. Yeah. Mike Randerson, again, if I'm hacking up names, guys,
what up?
I'm blind.
What is up? One and all.
ESO Creative. Bruce is here. Got a lot to talk about later on in the show, Jimmy, because it has to do with Bruce, and we'll talk about it later because we all know what went on with Duke the Dumpster Droese. We got a lot to talk about there. Duke was going to be on our show on the regular, man, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That could have been curtains for Bruce.
Wow. Is
Got
that why
lots of-
he moved to Texas?
Hey, look, you know what, man? That guy is working his ass off. ESO
Bruce.
is working his ass off. Retail, man. Retail, not a fun place to be working. Every time, I haven't spoken to him a lot lately, but every time
Yeah.
I do speak to him, it's like he has one day off, man. It's crazy.
Well, Bruce is experiencing somewhat of what I'm experiencing. He's a stranger in a strange land on top of everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He lived where he lived for his, come on, how long? Look at me. I'm 50 whatever I am, and 50 something years of it I've been in New York. So he's a stranger in a strange land, and he's fighting a good fight. And Bruce is a great guy too.
I
Period.
love Bruce. I love
Yeah,
Bruce.
he's a
Always
great
love
guy.
Bruce.
Yep.
Maestro on last
Oh.
week. Thoughts on that interview? And by the way, this is
Yeah.
proof in the pudding. It couldn't have
Yeah.
been us, right? So about 20 minutes left in the show, we were getting all this feedback, and I was doing everything I could behind the scenes. And Jimmy,
Right.
you had said to me when I felt like, because I was also having internet problems. So Jimmy said every time I fell off, it cleared up. But Jimmy, I listened when I fell off. It didn't clear up.
Right.
So I got to think it was our friend the Maestro. But what'd you think of the Maestro in studio last week?
Another splendid example of not Bob Backlund, not Greg Valentine, not Hacksaw Butch Reed, but turned out to give us just such a great interview. And I really like him to begin. Look, when his basic skill set that he's used in his life is professional wrestling and music, how can I not like this guy? I remember actually always smiling when I saw the Maestro. Look, there was a lot of garbage obviously on in those last days of WCW, but I did get a laugh out of the Maestro, and not in a bad way. For example, I think Santino Marella's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Just the way I find R-Truth funny. I found the Maestro's whole spiel to be amusing in a good way. I was like, okay, that's cool.
Well, let me ask you this, though. I got a little bit confused because he almost talked about like he was in WCW during the NWO days and all this shit. And I just remember him in like the last year of WCW. Was he around much longer there?
I think it was like one of those under the radar situations until he finally got his exposure and a gimmick for him.
I got it.
It was like some guys floating Neverland. I could think of others, but I'd probably be here a while. He's a rare case because if you look at his whole background, I found him very fascinating. All the guys he's worked with, legends, legends that go back to the 70s, whether it was, obviously Jake and the Wahoo thing kind of freaked me out. I'm like, oh my God, this guy worked with Wahoo, the Maestro. Would you think that? I didn't think that when I saw
obviously he had a lot of respect of all these old timers, man, which amazed the shit out of me, right?
Yeah, and to no surprise, he stayed out of the bullshit. Listen to the guy. He was one of those guys that actually loved to be there and didn't want any problems and stayed out of the bullshit. And he was liked.
Jimmy, by the way, I didn't know he was pretty ill, and I was checking out some stuff after the show, and he actually. It's kind of funny because I was going to bring up GoFundMe pages because you know how much I hate that shit, right?
I know.
But he had a GoFundMe page, and the dude like lost his house. He was in a coma. He had a whole bunch of shit going on. So for Monty Nefaro, we donated $25.
Oh, there we go.
I thought that was a nice thing, right?
Yeah. Well, what are you announcing how much you gave, though? What are you doing that for?
I don't know. Why not?
What's wrong with you? We gave a generous sum? What's wrong with you? You didn't sell that at all. That's horrible.
So a couple of things. The channel's doing very well. We got all these wonderful shows. We got Dan and Benny in the Ring. We got True Crime. We got the Baseball Bums.
Yes.
We've got, what is it, IWFAF Wrestling. I'm sorry, I don't remember that name. And then we've got When It Was Real with Nikita Brezhnikov and again, Benny Scala. Benny Scala's on every fucking podcast.
Poor Benny, man. Benny's starting to not sleep like you.
But listen, I got to tell you something. So I wrote Benny today, and yesterday he had a pretty good show with Ivan Koloff's granddaughter, right?
I have not seen it yet, but go ahead.
It's actually pretty good, right?
I'm sure it is.
Not that we should be surprised. They do good interviews, but
yeah.
I did write him, and I said, hey, look, man, the one thing that I, as a fan, when I'm watching these things about shows is when it was real, there was something special about it because they would talk about these old school players and they would dedicate an entire show to these old school guys. And I said, man, you guys got to be careful about becoming an interview show. We even say the same stuff to ourselves, right? Like sometimes you go, Mike, you're going way too interview heavy on us, right?
Right. Of course. I personally think, since we're talking about when it was real, I personally think, and I agree with you 1,000%, and I'm sure Benny would know that I would think this anyway. I have not liked, and you know this is true with me, Mike. I have not liked a show. We've had lots of different shows on our channel. I have not liked another show outside of course, I love what we do together. Outside of that, I have not liked the show as much as I've been enjoying when it was real. Mm-hmm. And what makes it work is the roles that each play. Nikita never gets boring. If you really want to learn about professional wrestling and how it really was before everything changed with the Hulkster and Vince, and when it was real, Nikita never gets boring. And Benny is from the time period. Sometimes, Mike, time goes so fast, but I wish sometimes that you and I were able to experience 70s wrestling before we got to experience 80s wrestling before it turned into entertainment. Am I making sense here?
Makes all sense in the world. Makes all the sense in the world. And I agree with you that they have a bit of a yin and a yang with each other. Benny kind of like guides the ship, and Nikita's off to the races. And like you said, he, for some reason, he is literally never boring. Never boring. I will say this, though. I'm surprised a guy like that was even friends with that piece of shit Evan Ginsberg. But hey, that's just me, right? Just saying it like I hear it, man. I don't know. That's the way I look at it.
You know what, Mike? That comment was surreal. You were suddenly expressing yourself.
There you go. And here's it. Like, look, I got to be honest with you. I'm a little twerked about a couple of things, and I need you to kind of reel me in, right?
No. Here we
go. Let's talk about the opening where Rip Rogers. First of all, what were your thoughts of Rip Rogers as a wrestler? I remember when he was in Georgia Championship Wrestling, which I didn't know at the time as a fan. That's when Arn Anderson lost it and brought it back. And he brought all this kind of lower-level talent to be a higher-level talent. But I thought the guy was pretty cool. It's funny it's not funny, but to hear him listen to or him say, he didn't feel like he was worthy. I thought Rip Rogers was a pretty decent character in the world of pro wrestling, right?
What I get when I hear Rip say that is that Rip had respect for the business and what you've done. He kept himself humble. That's how I saw that expression when he said that. I remember Rip Rogers not well enough because I didn't get enough exposure to him. Whenever I was into the wrestling, he was always in a territory, and I believe. I do believe that it's from where Jim Phillips comes from, because Jim Phillips was on recently a couple times with Dan and Benny, and Rip Rogers was like, well, I'm just saying though, this is what I remember. Rip Rogers was in his area where he grew up, and it wasn't one of those places that we had TV exposure to, So he was like in those territories, he was like a big time hero. He was big time in some of these territories we didn't even get to see. And there were plenty of territories back in the day. NWA had the hot spots in lots of places. And then you had Macho Man's thing going on with Lawler. There was a lot of stuff going on back then. I thought he was pretty much a badass. That was my impression of him. I never got to see much of him, though.
Well, I guess my point is this, dude. Like, again, when we started this now, I think it's 7 years, bro. We're doing this 7 years, which is fucking...
We're in our 8th year, Michael.
That's crazy. It's crazy even to think to have this whole crew with us, like the First Lady of Wrestling and Phil DeCesare. The whole list is long, right? And but there's more people in it. Everybody's got their own show and whatever else. But I always laugh at the guys that don't want to put you over because they're scared. And when I mean putting you over, they're not really putting you over because no one's really watching them. But the fact is they just act like they don't know who you are. And just watching that video again of Rip's partner going, they know how to keep us on here. What do you think? So he reads pretty clearly. What do you think of Monty and the Pharaoh?
Wow, you're
like
really
you can't read.
Wow.
That's that shit just annoys me. And by the way, you mentioned that dude Jim Phillips again to the chat. I want to tell you something. In the 8 years we're doing this, we've run into some real freaks in the business. Okay, I'm serious, like a real bunch of jerk offs. And
I'll stop you when you're not making sense. So far, so
all
good.
right, thank you. So Jim Phillips is this guy that Jimmy mentioned, and he might have mentioned him once or twice within the 8 years we've been on the show. I wouldn't think he would have mentioned him more. But this guy's one of the biggest jerk offs I've ever met. But here's the thing. Unfortunately for Jim, and it's a sad state of affairs, somehow he must have had some sort of spinal stroke, and he is now not incapacitated, but he's lost the use of his mobility, for lack of a better term. So Monty Nefaro, look, guys, we've had our arguments with many, many people, from Marati to those assholes, Conan and Disco, and those Get My Go guys, and
the aforementioned
Ginsburg, Kevin Strampoli. The list is long, right? Right?
I'm getting
but
sick. Go on.
Because we're kind, we donated $5. We donated $5. You got mad at me for telling me what we donated, Maestro, but we donated $5 to Jim Phillips' GoFundMe.
Jesus Christ!
And the dudes
did that. I did not. I learned this after.
Listen. First of all, you and I are one. You and I are one. That's how it works.
Yeah, I know. So if you unfortunately get mad at a McDonald's and start shooting, I had something to do with it.
Absolutely, that's just
the
terrible.
Rules. What kind of arrangement is this?
Listen, don't make me tell the story of all stories, and one day we will tell the story of all stories. We're not getting into it.
Don't be a fool.
There is a story of all stories. You know that, right?
Oh, is there?
Come on now.
Yeah.
There is a story of all stories that one day when me and Jimmy on our deathbed, we'll tell a story. But anyway.
Oh, no, I won't.
So my point of this whole matter
wasn't that what you referred to as the greatest day of your life or some shit? But go on.
It was pretty close. Yeah. It was pretty well, not the greatest day of my life, but it's in the top 20 for sure.
Oh my Lord. What a proud moment.
So we donate this clown, Jim Phillips, $5. Now I think I'm gonna ask the chat room. I'm gonna go check it in a minute. That's a very nice gesture, right? For someone that we didn't like, okay? And he unfortunately had some kind of physical, look, dude, with my 2 heart surgeries and my heart attack, no one sent me $5. So, I think it was very kind. And you know what we get on the GoFundMe page? Fuck you. That's what we get. That's what the dude wrote. Fuck you.
Oh, my God.
I'm checking the chat. I want to see if everybody thinks I'm right or wrong here. Come on, guys, wait. B40, what's up, babe? The beautiful Maria Davis. Gorgeous, as always. I'm waiting for the comments. Am I wrong for donation? What does it say? Any donation is good. Thank you, Benny Scala.
Did you lose on a scratch off earlier today? What's going on with you here?
I think ESO said that's too generous. Wait a minute. You're too generous. Right, thank you. 325. Yeah, so
hey, God. By the way, good luck with your Go show, bro.
Oh, that Joe Feely guy from Conan. What another fucking bunch of anyway. Let's talk about this. Alice Cooper, man, you're a music lover. Why do I hate Alice Cooper? Why do I hate every song this guy's ever made except for Poison? This is a guy that I feel is a no-talent hack. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I believe you're wrong.
Tell me why. You're the expert.
A no-talent hack. Well, first of all, without Alice Cooper, there's no Kiss. There's no many other theatrical, over-the-top things going on in the rock business. Alice Cooper was very interesting to me. Beneath the gruesome image, which he obviously cashed in on big time, and it was brilliant, by the way. I remember as a little kid going, Alice Cooper? Alice? And seeing his green-tinged face on an album cover back in the 70s, and I'm like, what is this? But when you listen to the music, Alice Cooper is very heavily influenced, just like Ozzy Osbourne and so many others that you never would guess, by the Beatles. Alice Cooper's incredibly melodic. He has survived for decades. Without him, there's so many other things that don't happen in the showmanship aspect of
Could I just wait a
rock and
minute?
then metal.
Cockroaches have survived the dinosaurs. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that cockroaches are talented.
Well, I'll say this about that particular description of a cockroach. I saw Alice Cooper about 10 years ago. Okay, and this was when he was touring with Motley Crue's alleged last tour ever.
All right, wait a minute, hold on. All right, so I'm
Yeah.
calling bullshit right now, Mr. Farrow. You didn't go see Alice Cooper. You went to see Motley Crue, and Alice Cooper was just happened to be.
Okay,
opening up.
well, let's get to the rest of it before your superficial opinion becomes facts to everybody.
Thank you.
What happened is that basically Alice Cooper logically opened up for Motley Crue because album sales are album sales. Now that we've gotten the obvious out of the way, which I would always agree with anyway, Cooper proceeds to tear that place apart, sounding incredible, just like he always did. He sounds exactly the same. He sounds like a young man. And his guitarist was, I think, Strauss, this unbelievable female guitarist that is just ripping.
Yeah, she's incredible. I agree.
I mean, they were incredible. And what really blew my mind is, it's funny you say you like the song Poison. Well, I hated it. All right, because I grew up with the 70s sound of Cooper, and that's what I wanted. It was almost like when Kiss transferred to the 80s. It doesn't sound like 70s Kiss. Same case for Alice Cooper. So when I first heard Poison with the keyboards and the fucking clip, I'm like, oh, God, fuck this. But he played Poison that night, and it was stripped down. The whole show was a hard rock orgy. It was fucking great. He played Schools Out. He played Welcome to My Nightmare. He played so many of his famous songs. And then he did Poison. And it was stripped down, and it was guitar, and it was him. And I was like, now, why didn't they just release this like this back in 1987? I'm like, my God, what a great song. What a great song.
But
And then
Jimmy, he's not a good singer, though. Come on, Jimmy.
Well, if you're putting him in a room with Freddie Mercury, come on. If you're putting him in a room with Ronnie James Dio, come on.
But
what Alice Cooper is what a lot of other artists are, if you stay with me for the whole thought. Like Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is not a gifted, oh my God, but Bob Dylan knows how to present his song his way. And it's organic. And either you get it or you don't. And Alice Cooper is one of those as a vocalist. He's one of those. Either you gravitate to him and you get what he's all about, or you don't. You know how many people don't like Rush because of Geddy Lee? I love Geddy Lee. But some people cannot stand Geddy Lee. But
Geddy Lee can sing, bro.
Yeah, well, you know what? Some people don't think he can. Some people think
crazy.
He's
to me, that's crazy.
To me, it's crazy to think that Alice Cooper can't write melodies and perform them and execute them. That's
all right, so Jimmy, we've joked around before. We're both very huge Kiss fans, right?
Right, yeah.
But I would say to Jimmy all the time, like, I can write a Kiss song. Like, I think I could sit down. Come on, man.
No, you can't. No, you can't. I'm going to call Bruce.
Love Gun. Love Gun.
Slam him. Love Gun is incredible, dude.
And
you'd probably write something way too smutty, like "I've got your face in the toilet bowl."
No, but
you're going to get my.
You understand my point. You pull the trigger on my Love Gun. You pull the trigger on my Love Gun.
I really love you, baby. I love you a lot. Let's get together. We can get hot. No more tomorrow.
Thank you.
The time is no more tomorrow. The time is today. Girl, I can make you feel okay. No place for running. No place to hide. No place to run. You pulled the trigger of my Love Gun. Let me tell you something.
There you go.
And you would probably be like, you pulled my weeder. And you know what I mean? No, you would not come up with those lyrics, dude. Do not tell me that. You would not. You would not. And you'd blow it.
I'm not saying I could write the music for it, but I definitely could write the lyrics.
Eddie Kramer would look at you and go, because Eddie Kramer produced Love Gun, he'd look at you and go, could you go out and get me a sandwich and never come back? Thanks, mate.
How about They call me Dr. Love?
You know what, Mike? You need my love, baby, oh so bad. You're not the only one I've ever had.
Yeah.
And if you say I'm going to set you free, don't you know you'll be in misery? You know why? They call me Dr. Love. Come on, dude. What
Moving
about the
on.
choruses? You give them no credit for their melodies? What's wrong with you?
I love Kiss. All I'm trying to say is a 2-year-old can write the lyrics. The lyrics
Oh my
are
God.
just
So
awful.
basically, she loves you. Yeah.
That's
Is that what
a
you're getting at?
pretty basic song. But if you're going to tell me that I could write Stairway to Heaven, no way, man. No way.
And it's whispered that soon, if we all call the tune, that the piper will lead you to reason.
Jimmy,
No,
you've
huh?
got too much in that brain of you to memorize.
That's not
all those
happening, huh?
fucking lyrics.
You're not pulling that one out of your pen, are you? I got
No.
it. I understand.
Getting tweaked. I'm getting tweaked, Jimmy.
Why?
All right, so we got
What?
on our social media, we got some pretty popular social media pages, but we got our amount of haters, right? So a month ago, Kevin Castle from the Kevin Castle Don Tony show passed away. We did a little bit of a tribute, discussed some of the problems that people have, right? Because it's a public service announcement, right?
Yeah.
You found out that Kevin had all these problems that you didn't know, and blah blah blah. So
right.
I don't know, man. This week I just got tweaked. Some dude wrote again. Nothing ever bothers me. Doesn't matter what anyone says. This one did because it was like, you guys are just doing it to get money. I was good friends with Kevin Castle, right? I'm not reading it verbatim. I just remember what the guy wrote.
Yeah.
And Kevin said that he didn't like either one of you, and you've asked him numerous times to come on the show. Well, that's true. That part is true because we had Don Tony. Yeah, we had Don Tony on. I actually wanted to have Don Tony and I wanted to have both of them on, right?
Okay. All right.
Whether he liked us or not, I have no idea. All I know is that he had.
Well, what does that accomplish by even saying that? It's just like,
well, there lies my point, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we're doing this video to make money. No, kind of we're doing the video because it's another fellow podcaster who lost his life tragically because he had mental and physical issues that he could not overcome. And we thought it was, and again, we didn't know about it. We found out about it on a tribute show that Don Tony did, right?
Yeah.
And then listen to my point here and tell me about this one. So I wrote the guy and I said, you know what? All that could be true, right? I went and looked at his page. Some black dude, right? Looks like another one of these wrestling fans that sits in his mommy's basement. Well, I know one is fucking idiot, right? But some black dude, right? And he's like, and it doesn't matter black or white. I'm just saying some black dude because I'm trying to explain what he looks like.
Yeah, you're painting the.
I'm painting the picture. That's right. I'm an artist.
Yeah.
See, I can write Love Gun and paint the picture.
I know you don't think you are, but I tell you are. We are.
So I wrote him. I said, hey, if you were such good friends, then it's really a tragedy that you didn't take the time out to see if Kevin was okay and maybe got checked out so he didn't pass away because he wasn't keeping his own health. Right? So it's like, instead of writing on our video like a jerk off, right? What did you do for your good friend? So we've established Kevin Castle didn't like us. That's great. What did you do for your good friend?
Right.
What did you do? Nothing.
Right.
All you did is write another stupid fucking remark, right? Because that's all you can do. But when, just like Mario Mancini, when the rubber hits the road, you do nothing. And that's my problem with what's going on in the world, right? It's like everybody's got a big fucking mouth when they don't have to do anything. Do something, right? Kevin's your good friend. Why weren't you there for him? If my friend that's on the other screen from Florida was in trouble, I'd be there for him. So tell me. I certainly wouldn't be writing on Phil DeCesare's page, oh, you did a video on Jimmy Farrow. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Let me put it this way, and I'll intertwine it into another thing that I learned this week that you'll probably laugh your ass off about regarding YouTube and comments and stuff like that. First of all, I always lived vicariously through you with the Don Tony show.
Yeah,
you know that I didn't really. I don't watch other shows very much at all.
Right.
So whether Kevin Castle liked me or not, what am I supposed to even do with something like that? I don't.
Nothing. Nothing doesn't matter.
It's a nonsensical, typical keyboard thing. I'm
It
like,
means
okay,
it literally,
whatever.
Jimmy. It literally means nothing. What Kevin
Right.
Castle thought of you or me or anything doesn't really matter, right? Because
No.
Kevin Castle wasn't part of our lives. All
No.
I did was, if I saw
I
talented
like Don
people that
Tony.
but if Don Tony didn't like you, does it matter?
No,
It doesn't.
Isn't that the sad reality of so many relationships anyway in the world? You want to talk about what's wrong with the world? I mean, come on. Phones have replaced our soul. The internet has replaced our humanity to even communicate on a basis that we understood when we were kids. I don't want to sound like an outdated dinosaur, but them's the facts.
You're right.
Them's the fucking facts. It doesn't matter how old or how young I am. You know, those are the fucking facts. And let me get into this one. And you're going to laugh your ass off. So I'm sitting on a fucking can. You want me to paint a picture? I'll paint you a picture.
Paint away.
I love checking out the channel, after we've had Zaxby's. You know what I'm saying? So I'm checking out the channel. I learned, and you're going to love this one, that some troll 70 times, because you can see how many times they've made a comment on our channel. 70 times has taken the time out of his life to fucking throw shots at us. And I thought, and I'm sure there's more. There's probably others that have done it a couple of hundred times for all I know. But I just found that amazing. I'm like, wow, someone who means absolutely motherfucking nothing 70 times has taken the time out of his day to throw shade at us. I was like, I kind of was giddy about it. It kind of made me get through the whole process a lot easier. And then I flushed.
Right. Well, again, my point is, say what you want. That shit doesn't bother me. But the thing, the common sense.
I thought it was funny.
But my point is the common sense that goes on it. If he was your good friend, where were you? The guy who's writing the message is missing the point.
See, that's the mistake.
Right.
That's the mistake.
Thing. That's why it tweaked me, because it's like, this is how dumb America has gotten, right?
Right.
It's like, I'm worried about the two guys on Monty and Farrell for whatever reason, because I hate them, right? Well, blah, 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 blah. That's all well and good.
What is the internet for? It's to deflect your own bullshit upon others.
I don't know. The comments should have been on there like...
That's what I see.
I wish I was there for Kevin in his time. I know the guy's watching, so I'm making sure. It's like, I wish I was there in Kevin's time and need so he didn't die tragically alone in his one-room apartment and his 18 fucking cats. That's what the message should have said.
Oh. You know what? Just to be real about it, we've all lost people. And it's only normal to think to yourself, I wish I could have been there. It's only normal. But when you do what this guy did and start throwing shade at other people, you asked for it, correct?
Yeah.
And that's it. It's perfectly normal to wish you were there, for somebody. If I only knew. That's perfectly fucking normal. Right. What's not normal is just to go on and throw shade at others to do what? What exactly does that accomplish? Does that bring him back? At least we fucking talked about him. Where's your fucking deal?
Hey, I'll be 100% honest with Jimmy. I'll be 100% honest with you. I'm all good being one of the most hated guys on this wrestling platform. I could care less what any of these fucking people think, dude. All I care is what the family thinks, and we're entertaining the family. Like my good friend Steve Kotenberg from the military, who proudly served this country. Thank you, Steven.
There we go.
Who tunes in every week, and Maria Davis, and the list goes on and on and on. The rest of them, I don't give a flying fuck. So the next thing that we're doing, right? So the cool thing is, if anyone doesn't know, we're in the world of AI, and now AI is able to actually put more people out of work, right? They can actually draw pictures better than people can draw pictures. So I'm going to show some pictures I had AI doing to the show, right? There's me and Marty Jannetty. Let's see there. What else we got here? They got me, Jimmy, and Alexa Bliss.
Stop right there. I look ridiculous. And why am I even in that fucking thing? Get me out of there. No.
It's AI, dude. It's AI.
You've gone Stan Lee fucking happy with this fucking cartoon shit. All right, this is not the Pharaoh right there. That was awful.
Hold on,
Next.
there's other pictures of the Pharaoh. There's
That's
me,
better.
Jimmy,
That's better.
Ranger Ross, and
Yeah.
the beautiful.
Dude, I've seen a couple of you where I'm like, who the fuck is that? Grimace? I'm like, what the fuck happened there?
Dude, check this out though. Don't I look like Triple H right there? What's
like
that all about?
Triple H?
Yeah, look at that.
Is that how you looked back then? I don't remember.
Wasn't that long ago. You, me, and Jules Strongbow.
You know what bothers me about this one? I look like John Riley from the Electric Sunset in this one.
You, me, and Hillbilly
I can kind of
Jim.
live with that one. I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. Am I allowed to critique this stuff, or
Of course, you could critique a computer.
I thought you were going to tell me it's like one of our sponsors, Joe Farrow.
All right,
stop.
No, I'll give you one that really pissed. Now talk about tweaking me, right? So
okay,
here's one. There's a picture of me.
Did you see the comment earlier? Somebody's asking what is that on your shoulder?
Right, that's what tweaked me. So the guy, again, more of the haters. What are you doing? You're wearing a Nazi symbol on your shoulder? So
I bet you like Trump, don't you?
But it's like, oh my God, it's an AI drawing, and I had to send them a picture of the cross that's on my shoulder, okay, which you can see right here. That's not a Nazi symbol. But again, hello, a computer wrote it, you jerk off. It's like, give it a break already. My God, just enjoy it for what it is. Oh my God.
I'm just amazed that people waste their energy to write negative shit. You know I've hated that from the beginning with the internet.
I know you have. Again, it doesn't bother me, but when people try to make something out of nothing, you have a Nazi symbol on your shoulder? No, you jerk off.
But you ask what is wrong with the world, and you always talk about microcosms and the fact that we all know that the internet is running the damn world. Don't you think that it is a problem that everybody writes negative, nasty shit? It's a microcosm of what's wrong with this world, Michael.
You know what, Jimmy? It's okay to write negative shit, but it's like people just love to stir the pot.
That's what I'm saying. Be constructive at least. Good Lord. Of course you can have a negative opinion on something.
We got Richie Sorrentino on in a couple of weeks, and I know these aren't one of your favorite shows.
What is going on? Boy, I know we don't want to talk about it in advance too much, but I've been seeing this. I'm like, what is going on here?
But it's again, these wrestling agents, they're a bunch of fucking jackals, right? They come up with something and they all attack, right? Because they think if they eliminate, it's like podcasts and everything else. If they eliminate the competition, then they'll be able to sell more autographed pictures. It's like, so Sorrentino went on, some new guy. He lives on Long Island. He does a pro wrestling podcast.
All right.
Another fucking jerk off. So
okay.
I can't.
That's my first impression. Go on. All right.
I'm not even bringing it up. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Sorrentino will be on in a couple of weeks. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Tomorrow's going to be off the hook. All right, let's talk about something positive. All right, we're finally going to get the positive, Jimmy. Are you ready?
Oh, boy, here we go.
We do. Yeah. We're getting the positive.
You're really going in this direction. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I am. So first of all, explain to me, X1V is 16, right?
X1V?
Yes.
Is 14.
Jimmy has given me lessons on
It's 14.
14. So
yeah.
The V is a 5 though, right?
That is correct, but there's a 1 in front of it.
So it's -1. That's what you taught me.
Right. Well, I was trying to teach you that. In other words, 15 would be X5 and 16 would be X51 or odd.
Okay, right, exactly. And I was trying to explain that to my wife, right? Because I'm like, Jimmy taught me about it, right?
Yeah.
Because Jimmy was berating me for like, what did you do in high school? And I'm like, hey, dude, I don't think Roman numerals are that fucking important, okay?
Hey, at least I had to go to night school. Let's not get into me being smarter than you because we all know that come on, stop. We're both smart. Go on.
So Robert Francis, if I could read his name. Oh my God, I'm putting my glasses on, dude. I just can't handle not being able to read. No, I can't. I won't break character. Was elected on Thursday to lead the world's 1.4 billion Roman Catholics, making the first pope from the United States to be named Leo the 14th. So tell me, my friend Jimmy Farrow, is this a good thing?
What? You want me to be Nostradamus about this?
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think about the whole pope thing? Like a pope. Is a pope necessary?
Well, you have to understand, you're really.
And by the way,
opening up-
everybody, Jimmy and I are very religious, so we're actually having a legitimate religious conversation.
Yeah, you're really opening up a big can here. Once upon a time, the Roman Catholic Church ruled the world. Basically, they claim the lineage going all the way back to in the New Testament, where Jesus tells Peter, "Upon this rock I will build my church," and he's referring to Peter. Peter basically being the first saint, Saint Peter, who was later crucified upside down because he refused to die in the manner that his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ had died for him. And then, of course, the Roman Catholic Church did what. Listen, this might be controversial for a lot of people, but at the end of the book of Revelations, it does clearly state that no one is to add a single word to what has been written. In other words, the work has been done. No more improvisation will be allowed from anybody to try to add to what the Old Testament and the New Testament have finished. Protestants are formed because the Roman Catholic Church starts to apply other rules, which they, put into their own texts to add to the Bible and all of its rules that Jesus simplified. There were 613 laws in the Old Testament, and Jesus whittled them down to 2. Love thy God and love your neighbor as you would love thy God, love yourself. They would just whittled it down. It was supposed to be about the book and only the book. And that's when Martin Luther nailed the 95 Theses to the Roman Catholic Church door in the early 1500s. And Lutheranism was born. And the rest, then we had Methodists and we had many other denominations. Is it a good thing? I don't historically disagree with the Roman Catholic Church on their claim to Peter because I wasn't around. I think we're talking over 1,500 years or close to, of papal history.
Jimmy, can I break in on your conversation
By
real
all
quick?
means, because
You're doing a great job, but I think this is important.
Yeah, please.
Wolf says, who would win in a fight, Monty Nefaro or Don Tony and Kevin Castle?
So let me get this straight. I'm basically going back to Roman times, and you want me to stop my thought process and somehow get back on it afterwards.
Yes.
With a question like, would we
That's
win?
why you're the Pharaoh. That is why you're the Pharaoh. You are capable of doing this.
Would we win a tag team match against them? Well, let me ask you a question, Mike. We used to actually hold real wrestling back in the day, and anytime you and I were involved as a team, what would happen to the poor bastards we were fighting? And some of them, by the way, turned out to be 6'8", 6'9". What was the end result?
Well, so Jimmy, here's what I'll say about all this, and then I want to finish up with the Pope stuff because it is important. And you're dropping knowledge, by the way, and I shouldn't have interrupted you, but I felt like it was important.
You know what? I wouldn't not expect anything else out of you because that question was vital. Go on.
It was a vital question.
So give me
at our age now, Jimmy. We are not quite
now?
the people that we used to be. But that being said, I could fairly and confidently say that me and my partner Jimmy are not in fear of much, right? Maybe in fear of some things, but not of other human beings. So again, I think that's why we don't have too many issues. Like people really don't tweak us because we're not that guy. So no, I don't fear anybody. Now, if we really did have a fight with Kevin Castle and Don Tony, we would kill them. We'd kill them.
What kind of question is this?
But we would kill him. We'd rip him apart. In fact, I'm gonna even go this far. If we had a fight with Conan and Disco for real, we'd fucking kill him.
Would you stop it?
And they could throw that Joe Feeney homeless dude in there too.
Oh Jesus Christ! You don't believe?
And I use the word "kill," not in the word, so someone doesn't report us that we threatened to kill anybody. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying?
You don't believe in Joe Feeney? Clap, clap. You don't?
All right, so Wolf is saying prime Don Tony and Kevin Castle against prime Pharaoh and Monty. Listen, prime Pharaoh and Monty, we're not losing to anybody, dude. Like, I'm not. Yeah, come on, man.
Stop it. Just stop. I'm not gonna get in the ring with Macho and Rick Rude. Let's not get
No,
silly
come
here,
on,
Mike.
that's ridiculous. Come on.
Let's not get crazy.
We're
here.
talking about Don Tony and Kevin Castle.
Just so Wolf, before Wolf starts asking if we take on Andre and Haku, okay?
All right, but prime Don Tony
prime.
was 300 pounds. Okay, I don't think he's moving.
Pounds?
And Kevin Castle's 5'5". I mean, let's get realistic.
I don't know.
Yeah, he was 5'5".
I don't know what's going on here. One way or the other, we're going to use foreign objects. Come on, we always did.
All right, let's go back. Get back on track with the Pope, will you please?
Oh, you got to
get your shit together, son.
You know, well, I was basically talking about the papal lineage and all that other stuff. Look, for Roman Catholics, it's always good to get another pope. You know, I don't know what it's going to mean behind the scenes. I don't know what sort of power today the Roman Catholic Church holds in the world. I've heard that he's not exactly fond of the current American president. You know, how does that affect things? I don't know. You know,
I said to my wife, that could be trouble for the Pope, right?
For the Pope?
Yeah.
Why would it mean trouble? Meaning, oh, you mean like them having to pay taxes and stuff?
Don't mess with the Don, dude. That's like
he doesn't make the law of the land in Italy, so I don't see how
Who knows?
What's he gonna do?
They just changed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, right?
Well, that I don't. That why not? I mean, for God's sakes, it's our Gulf, isn't it?
Well, before you know it, Italy will be the 53rd state.
Italy. After Canada and Greenland.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say to you.
You know, well, I could. Oh, so you.
And by the way, Wolf, Steve Kotenberg, who's in the chat, he knew me a long time ago. Ask Steve how tough I was. He knows. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh,
that was prime Monty. That was prime Monty.
What is he now? He wants to know if you could take the magnificent Morocco, 1982. What's going on here?
All right, let's move on. You did a great job with the Pope. But here's some more
what's
stuff.
your opinion? You know, because I can see, like, are you suggesting that Donald Trump gets on the phone to Italy and threatens to close every pizzeria in Yonkers? Is that what's going on? I mean,
there is a possibility. Listen, you know what?
That would be terrible.
Donald Trump is the president of the United States, and we voted for him. Yeah, but there's strange things going on. Even you have to say there's strange things happening.
One more thing about this particular Pope, and I do need to look into it more, but apparently Nostradamus predicted the end of the world with this Pope. Here we go.
Are you serious? Fill me in, buddy.
No, I can't go into it more. I just told you, so basically I need to read more about it. But, Nostradamus made many predictions, as we know, getting as close to the spelling of Hitler as Histler. Just there was an S in there for some reason, but give the guy a break. It's hundreds of years ago. He was dead on about a lot of different things. And supposedly this is the final shift before the great 27-year war, my friend. The third
way to go, Jimmy.
To be, way to go. To be the doozy.
The world's gonna end, and all Monty and Farrell care about is having the Berserker on Friday.
What? We could have had the Berserker on. What's with these nukes? That's horrible. What's wrong with the world?
Nostradamus predicted if Monty and Farrell end up on Sirius Radio, it's the end of the world.
Yeah, that could be the end of the world. You're right about that.
No, actually, Nostradamus did predict this. If this is going to happen, it means it's the end of the world. A wrestler decides that, hey, let's have a text buddies. For only $99 a month, you can text with Mercedes Monet, Jimmy, for $99 a month. And it even gives you like, hey, Mercedes, how are you doing? I'm fine. Yeah, I'm sure Mercedes was on the end of that phone. No. What is going on, Jimmy Farrow?
Well, it's the further delusional trip of Sasha Banks, man. It's just,
dude, this woman is capitalized. Do you know how many? Listen, think about it this way. Let's just do basic math. 1,000 people sign up for the month.
Yeah, at least.
Just 1,000.
Well, she's gonna get more than that because this is a very dumb world we live in. All right, and you know what the best part is? The best part is that after Mommy gives him his fudge brownie for dessert in his basement, he can't wait. He's gonna be texting, nice hiney. He's like drooling still from the brownie.
Dude, here's the funny thing.
You got to be kidding me.
I think Betty Scala got emailed from Zoe Stark 123_5, and he's like, "Oh, Zoe Stark is a good friend of mine." This is a true
What?
story.
Are
He
you
got
kidding?
a text from Zoe Starks 123_45, and he's like, "Oh, me and Zoe Starks are friends on social media." I'm just like, "Oh my
Dude,
god, this planet we're doomed. We
a-
are doomed, man."
I once made a comment on Facebook on a Yankee page of some kind, and all of a sudden I get like a friend will come, Aaron Judge.
Oh, he friended you. Wow, Aaron Judge.
No, he asked to be my friend, and I said
No,
no,
what
Aaron Judge.
I'm saying is Aaron Judge actually said, "Hey, Farrell, let's be friends."
Oh yeah. I was all over that one when I hit the delete button. I was like, get the fuck out of here, Aaron Judge.
Oh, so you're trying to tell me that Zoe Stark 1234_5 is not Zoe Stark? Is that what you're trying to say?
It sounds like on face value that you better return the album you bought at Skipping.
I'm laughing pretty hard right now, dude.
I bet you are.
I can't.
I bet you.
All
Are.
Right, we're gonna bring back today. If I could find what I'm looking for, Mr. Farrell, please bear with me. All right, buddy.
I know what you're looking for.
It's another episode of Shut Up and Wrestle.
Oh,
tell me what you think about this little intro for it.
Shut up and wrestle.
What do you think?
What was that? All I heard was "and wrestle," and I looked and it looked like
All
somebody's.
right, let's try it again.
What is that?
Shut up and wrestle. Shut up and wrestle.
Is that her cooking?
Shut up and wrestle.
Or I'll make something better, but I thought it was kind of funny, so I thought I could get a rip from you.
But
anyway,
is that her cooking?
That's her cooking, yeah.
Oh no, that's good. I like that. Put some music.
But that's not the Shut Up and Wrestle. This is Shut Up and Wrestle. Joe Henry, are you ready?
Joe Henry,
which you've become a fan of. So I want a true evaluation.
You're picking on Joe Henry?
It's Shut Up and Wrestle time, Jimmy. Are you ready?
Yeah. What did Joe Henry do?
Here we go.
Terrible. What's going on here? I believe.
Hello, my friend. We'll meet again. It's been a while. Where should we begin?
Great. Let's go.
Oh, feels like forever. Within my heart, memories, perfect love that you gave to me. Oh, it's when you are with me.
You're bailing out, huh?
Stop. I bailed out right away. You couldn't tell? I was in pain through the whole thing. What are you doing? Why did you...
Shut up and wrestle.
So tell me your thoughts on Joe Henry actually trying to sing because he happened to get a clicky intro music. And then when someone starts really taking themselves seriously, they think they're going to get up on stage and try to perform Creed, Sacrifice.
This is right up there when Jeff Hardy was doing Nutshell. What's going on here?
It's equal to me. It was equally as bad and maybe even worse. Jimmy.
It was worse.
Thank you. It was worse.
It was worse because at least in Jeff's case, he was trying to emulate the feel of it. Joe doesn't have the thickness in his voice to sing Creed or to sing Pearl Jam. You have to be a very strong baritone, and he clearly is not a very strong baritone. Pearl Jam and Creed were right up my alley when I was, doing my thing back in the day. You got to have baritone. You can't, if he sang The Doors, he'd have the same effect. It'd be like, oh God, what are you doing? Your voice is too thin to do that stuff. So,
well, I think, Jimmy, in the world of auto-tune,
yeah,
and when someone makes a video of you for a wrestling intro with a little catchy jingle, you can think you can sing. And he's gone on to indie shows. I've seen him singing. But it's sticky, right? It's sticky fun. It's like The Rock singing, right?
Right.
But when you start taking yourself too seriously, like Joe Henry, it's like, stop it, bro.
Right.
You suck. It's awful.
Elias is like Bob Dylan compared to these guys.
So in episode of 3 is Shut Up and Wrestle. What's your decision?
Joe Henry. Shut up and wrestle.
There you go, baby. I love it.
It's painful because I believe in Joe Hendry.
Not anymore.
No, you kind of ruined it for me. Thanks. But by the way, I still say his name. He never shows up around here. So what the fuck? Anyway, he hasn't appeared yet. Go on.
Our friend Hulk Hogan
is that
had
the
a little
Hulkster?
few things to say. That's a little Hulkster, right? He's looking
Wow.
old. He's looking old.
Wow.
Mentioned Shelton Benjamin, and the Hulk Hogan hate comes out. Shelton Benjamin pretty much told him, keep my name out of your mouth. Hogan was on TMZ speaking about how he wrestled Brock Lesnar in his first match and how he's wrestled some of the toughest guys, like a guy like Shelton Benjamin or Kurt Angle. And Shelton Benjamin, I guess, got angry about it. I don't know. What is the deal with the Hulk Hogan hate, dude? What's going on?
He's a racist. That's what they're gonna hold on to that till the end of time. Some people will do that. That's what that is. I think what angered him was he said Benjamin Shelton. He didn't even he didn't say Shelton Benjamin. Okay, if that's all it takes for you to. You should be glad he mentioned.
By the way, thank you for clearing that up. And you're right. But again, Hulk Hogan's how old? The guy's old. I mean, give a break.
You should be glad he mentioned you at all, because without him, there's no sports entertainment, and you were never engaging anyway. You're a fantastic wrestler, blah, blah, blah. But I actually saw somebody write something that I had a hard time disagreeing with. If you weren't Brock Lesnar's roommate back in the college days, nobody would know who the fuck you are.
Yeah, you're a legitimate tough guy. Guy.
He's great,
right?
Amateur wrestler.
But guess what?
No
you have the personality of
a cornflake.
Thank you, of a cornflake. Exactly. You know what? And
did.
You're not a good wrestling entertainer. In fact, the best thing that ever happened to you is you got hooked up with MVP and Bobby Lashley and became part of the Hurt Business, so you could stand there and not say anything. And look like a tough guy.
Right.
Shelton Benjamin got the most out of his career.
I definitely think so. I think he was fortunate to get such a push over.
And, we're going to get into the releases and we're going to discuss the releases. But, here's the facts, man. If you can't bring people to the arena, who needs you?
Right.
Who needs you?
What good are you? It's about that. It's about being able to draw. I mean, if you break down cards back in the day, sure, there was talent enhancement, but they were there building up the ones who could draw.
That could make the money.
Period.
That's right.
I mean, there was a method to the madness, and it made perfect sense, especially in the territory days, Shelton Benjamin is an accumulator of riches that the business has allowed him to have. I feel like he's an additive. He's not a preservative in the history of this.
Yeah, but
business.
you know what, Jimmy? You use that word a lot, additive, and you know what?
Truth.
I think you give him too much credit. Like an additive has importance. If Shelton Benjamin,
not always. You ever have mayo put on your sandwich? Did you want that fucking
so wouldn't that
additive?
be an ingredient? Let's lower it down. Let's make it an ingredient.
You're an ingredient. You're adding something to something. That's all he is.
Fair enough.
It is what it is. Listen, you know what he's not? With his in-between gray area booking that he had his whole career, let's face facts. You know what I mean? That in-between gray land, he's no Dolph Ziggler. Piss off. Because Dolph lived in between land his whole career. He's had a great career. That's all I'm saying. And listen, you should be glad Hulk Hogan even fucking mentioned him, whether his name was backwards or not. Because now people are talking about Shelton Benjamin. Otherwise, would we be? Wouldn't we?
You wouldn't.
But thank you. So keep your name out of my mouth. Yeah.
You know what? If it wasn't for the WWE holding on, or like you said, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin would be just another good-looking, jacked-up guy working at Walmart. Let's be honest.
I have no idea about whether he'd wind up at Walmart.
You understand what I'm saying? When I say Walmart, I don't mean that he couldn't have a job as an executive. I have no idea what the guy's degrees are.
No, he wouldn't have been afforded the wrestling.
He wouldn't be a multimillionaire, is what I'm trying to tell you. And you're right. Again, know your lineage and know that without Hulk Hogan, this all doesn't happen. None of it, not the podcasting, nothing happens.
Right. But you know what? It's also the other side, and nobody ever talks about it. You ever ask Dennis Rodman how he feels about Hulk Hogan? He fucking loves the man. He doesn't think he's a racist fucking at all. He thinks that every human being at some point in their life spouts something, and unfortunately for Terry, as he called him, he was caught on a fucking recording. He's like, we all have those fucking thoughts. He's like, Hulk Hogan is a great person.
Jimmy,
but you know what? We're not going to talk about that because that's not the world we live in. Let's harm on the fucking negative till the end of fucking time. And, it's not like, other things that are much more
Let's
severe.
be 100% honest here, though.
Yeah.
The list is very short, and I'm going to make this clear. There's only a small group of guys that filled the arena. So it's Hogan, it's San Martino, it's John Cena.
Yeah.
It's Roman Reigns.
Austin.
Okay. What's that?
Austin.
That's right.
The Rock filled the
arenas. The Rock filled the arenas. Now, people are going to go Ric Flair. No, I'm going to tell you why no to Ric Flair. Ric Flair was an additive to the NWA title. So if Harley Race had the NWA title back there, the NWA title is what filled arenas from region to region because they were going to watch that champion wrestle their good guy for the title. So it didn't matter who held the title. Ric Flair did not make people come to the arena. Macho Man, Savage, for a short time, brought people to the arena. Ultimate Warrior, for a short time, arena. I'll maybe say the Undertaker is on the cusp there, okay? Because the Undertaker, to me, is not a guy that people came to see.
Right. The only argument I would give
he was part of the card that people wanted to see.
The only
what are your thoughts about that?
The only argument I will give you about Ric Flair, and I don't even think it's an argument, it's more a point. And I find it fascinating what you opened up in my mind as I thought about this. Ric Flair was the NWA title. What I mean by that is I agree with you that it was the NWA brand first. Understand that Vince McMahon took the gamble and made Hulk Hogan bigger than the company itself, okay? We all know that. He did that with Austin years later. It finally stopped when he got screwed too many times. And he stopped doing that, and we started to see a John Cena or a Roman Reigns. Ric Flair was the NWA title for how long? That's my only debate that I will give you on that. Did Ric Flair have the drawing power of everybody you just mentioned? Nope. Because otherwise, when we talk about the amazing trilogy, as far as the matches themselves between him and Steamboat, we'd be talking about how they did it in front of 75,000 people, not 5,000 people.
There you go.
The end. Was Ric Flair one of the goddamn greatest at what he did? Oh, you betcha. He's penthouse material. He could easily be on someone's Mount Rushmore, and I wouldn't bat a fucking eye. But he was not the draw of the guys you mentioned when they all hit their zenith. Ultimate Warrior for what? Like a 2 year, maybe 2.5 year, whatever.
Jimmy, I'd be honest with you. I'd say 8 months, but that's okay. It could be 2 years.
Well, think about it. When he comes flying out there against Honky Tonk Man, what year is that, Mike?
93?
No, it's 1988.
88,
it's 1988.
Okay.
So by the time you get to 1990 in WrestleMania 6, it's a couple of years that the Ultimate Warrior has been a holy shit. Or maybe a year and a half. Depending
Whatever,
on,
but the fact of the matter is, people were coming to sell out to see him.
Another example. I'll give you another example. Goldberg, 48,000 at the to see him and Hogan. It was a short thing, but at least it was that big.
Now to be fair, the WWE machine is a big part of that. And no one's going to give me people came to see Sting. Dude, I was in Louisiana with Sting, and there was literally 5 people. Codenberg, I think, was there. Codenberg was there with me. It's like there was 5 people there. They were playing to the 5 of us. It was crazy, unbelievable. And it was a stacked card. Stacked card. Stacked.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, that's why the WWE won this whole thing anyway.
There you go. All right, let's talk about this.
Oh, no.
The main part of this show. Hold on, buddy.
All right.
I'm good. I'm going to switch to my glasses, all right?
I'm glad he's got a trash can. Maybe he'd like to jump in it. Go on.
Well, the disappointing part is I thought the guy was a really nice guy, and it's like you just don't know anybody. A former WWE wrestler has been indicted by the Tennessee grand jury after he allegedly attempted to purchase child pornography last year, according to prosecutors. Michael Droese, known as Duke the Dumpster Droese during his WWF days in 1994 to 96, is facing one count of attempted sexual exploitation of a minor. It's a Class D, as in David, felony, after the FBI was tipped off of the allegations. This charge became aggravated because Mr. Droese attempted to purchase the child sexual assault material, said Christopher Stanford, a district attorney general of the 31st Judicial District in Tennessee. In a release Monday, purchased child sexual assault material in an aggravated crime because money is used to purchase the material, in which continues to make a child sexual assault material profitable for criminal enterprises that produce itself across the world. And basically, Mr. Droese is going to face up to 4 years in prison. Thoughts on that, Jimmy?
You know, it's funny. I remember, like, way back, wasn't he always, like, contacting you, wanting to come on the show, and we were always like,
well, that's where we opened up about Bruce. So Bruce had a liking to Mr. Droese, and I mean a liking, like he liked the guy. He was a nice guy. We met him in studio. He was okay, right?
Right.
And Droese was doing some kind of, I think he used to call it the trash can show, and it was basically helping people with the same issues he had of alcoholism or drug abuse. So he went towards there, and ESO Bruce had recognized that there was some talent involved there and said, hey, Mike, you should come on. And Mike was interested, but Mike got a job in counseling people. But now we find out this issue. And just to add on to it, Davey Boy Smith, if you watch some of the documentaries, was all jacked up on human growth hormones and some kind of mixture. And later you find out it was Duke the Dumpster Droese who was peddling this shit. So that disappointed me too. So we met the guy. We had a really, you were there for that, right?
I don't think I was.
I don't remember. Anyway, he was in studio. You know what? It might have been Bruce was in there. I think you had just moved to Florida, right?
Yeah.
But regardless, right? The guy talked about how, he tries to help people. The guy lost his foot, right?
Okay.
And he was missing a foot, which I was shocked to hear he wrestled in 2023 with a missing foot, which I find amazing. But I really thought the guy was a good guy. Right. And you know what I realized?
How do you know?
But this is, look, there's a lot of fucked up things that go on in the world, but this wrestling world is fucked up. Dan and Benny had Nikita and Benny had Ivan Koloff's daughter on. And I'm just going to say it. Ivan Koloff was not a good guy.
Oh, really?
He was not a good guy.
Really? Give me some examples. I haven't heard it yet.
Well, he was a drug user.
Okay.
Drunk.
Okay. All right.
I think when you have all those type of problems, you're probably not a great person. What do you think?
You're not giving me, like, what did he do when he was under such that?
You know what, dude? I've never really paid.
In other words, if you want to abuse yourself, that's your business. I mean, were you taking it out on others? That's what I mean. Is that what you're saying?
So then, let me ask you this: Duke the Dumpster Droese trying to buy porn that's video. Who's he hurting?
Yeah. Who's he hurting?
I know the answer, but I want to make it clear, right? He's contributing. He's not actually hurting anybody. He's contributing, right?
Yeah, he's contributing, and it's violent sexual stuff too. He's sick.
I don't know if it was violent stuff. I don't know.
Well, you described it as that, like aggressive, kind of acts towards children. I mean, it's like, what the hell is wrong with you? And I want to go further. When the officials do an investigation and they round him up because they knew that he went to the dark web and he purchased something from a particular site on the dark web, I go further.
Attempted purchase.
How come there is attempted to purchase? How come there is a dark web? And why haven't we done anything about that? And how come the site? Why aren't we closing the whole fucker down? See, this is the problem with the world. We let the bacteria run wild, and then we wonder why we can't get rid of problems. It's like you got to get rid of all of that shit. Why is there a dark web?
Because, dude, there's evil among us, and what I'm saying about wrestlers, if you think about it, it's like
Whatever.
it's this.
Right.
It's really in this world a very small community of wrestlers, and they really turn out just be drudges, man. I mean, it's crazy, man. From Benoit to the Nancy Argentino thing. I'm just naming a few things, man. Dino Bravo.
Business is Gino Hernandez. This business is
Gino Hernandez. This shit's crazy.
This business has always been brutal. It is. It's not like any other professional sport, or in this case, entertainment now at this point these days, but it's always been like this, you know?
Does it make you ashamed to be a fan?
No. Why would it? What's it got to do with me and my love for when people get in the ring and do their thing? I think, no, I don't process like that. You know, if you're an asshole, I erase you. That's me. It's like, okay, you're a fuck. Next. I've become very indifferent to it all.
So you're a fan. You were a fan of Benoit, right?
Yeah, the wrestler. Yeah, I was.
Yeah. So when this went down, did it make you feel like shit that you were a fan of his?
No. Why? I'm watching a professional wrestler being portrayed on television as a character that says little and is a great technician. What the fuck does that got to do with me knowing him?
You know, Jimmy, I'm going to disagree with you. If Hulk Hogan,
it's got nothing. I didn't
but
feel
if Hulk
bad. I thought he was a piece of shit.
If Hulk turned out to be a piece, all right, let's do something better. I'm a huge fan of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I always will be. Right? He's been accused of a whole bunch of stuff which he has been unfounded till this day. He never got arrested. He never got fined. He never did anything. Okay, so all that being said, right? If it all turned out that Vince McMahon ended up doing this and was convicted like a Harvey Weinstein or an Epstein, that would hurt me because since I could remember at 16 years old, I looked up to Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Right. Now, while I obviously love Vince and I'm very grateful for what he's given me as far as my joy watching his product over the years, I never looked up to Vincent Kennedy McMahon like you do. I looked up to others, and you probably know the names, whether it's John Lennon, or Jim Morrison, or Thurman Munson, because I fucking adored. He was a family man, and he would fly back and forth for his family.
Fair enough.
You know.
So if Thurman Munson turned out to be a rapist, how would that have made you feel?
It wouldn't make me feel bad that I liked him. It would incredibly hurt me. I mean, I would be like, oh my God, that's horrible. What the fuck? So, yes, but I've never defended Chris after I learned what I learned.
Well, I'll say this. You know? I feel, like, first of all, I wrote ESO. I'm like, thank God we didn't get him on our channel because that would have been fucking embarrassing.
Right, obviously.
But two, I feel a little like fucked with. Like, I thought the guy was a good guy. And I'm sorry, no one's going to tell me, maybe he is a good guy. No, he's not. If you do this type of shit, you're just not a good guy.
No, you can't be. There's something very wrong with you. You know, the end. There's something very, very wrong with you. See you later, bye. I mean, whatever. And what's with the light sentence anyway? That's all, what, 2 to 4 years? Then what? You know,
I think that's for someone his age, that's a long time, bro.
Is it? Well,
all right, WWE releases. I want to start with the January releases first. Duke Hudson, NXT, Greg Miller, host of the WWE show that was not renewed. Okay.
All right. Yeah, whatever on both. Go on.
All right, and then we go into the February because I want to remind everybody WWE does releases all year long. Cedric Alexander in February. Akam and Razar, that's the Authors of Pain, who had their second tour. They tried it. Precious Paul Ellering.
Yep.
Blair Davenport.
Yep.
Isla Dawn.
Yeah.
Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, Goodfellas. Again, two guys that literally got paid for doing nothing for 2 years.
Yep, AJ's guys.
Giovanni Vinci, which I was a little surprised at the time because I thought they were going somewhere with that.
They built him up and he got scrubbed and we never saw him again. Yep.
And then Electra Lopez. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to go to the most recent one, Jimmy. I'm going to ask you to weigh in. Tell me if you think it's a mistake. And obviously, it may not be a mistake, but maybe you would have expected them to give us more. Okay.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Good.
Whoops, sorry. Okay, we'll get this right, guys. I apologize. I am not the best producer. So here we go.
Yeah.
Right here.
Go on.
Yeah, he says. Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, well, you're always picking on yourself. I gotta laugh. I'm like, oh my god, at least you're doing it. What would I be doing? I think it's this
Kalina
button.
Chance. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, what is this from Carter and Chance, the tag team?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you know what? Whatever. It's the whatever file. It's just sometimes there's just too many people on the roster.
But
and
let me ask you this question though, Jimmy. I thought that the WWE needed more women's tag teams, and that was like a legitimate tag team. So like I was a little surprised at that. But again, they're not moving the needle. I get it, but you need some of this filler. Boring.
Yeah, no, it's boring. And if it's going to be filler, you better keep it exciting. You don't want people changing the channel or just going to something else. You don't want to. Not anymore. Can't get away with it.
Braun Strowman. Second time he's been released.
Little surprised. A little bit surprised. But what are you going to do with him? What's he doing? Who's he going after? What's his role?
Well, he had a good little feud with Jacob Fatu for the feud there.
Apparently, he was just there to make Jacob look even better. In the end.
Did you read the thing on the internet where he was crying because he wasn't part of the WrestleMania card, and supposedly Paul Heyman told him it's because you're not good enough? Do you believe that story?
Wow. I don't know if I believe it, but that's pretty rough if that's the case, that you're not good enough. Braun Strowman's had a pretty good career with WWE. He's done some things, but what is there to do with him now? There's nothing to really do with him.
Dude, think about some of this good stuff he did, though, right? He had the kid and he won. I loved it when he won the tag team titles with the kid. I thought they had built him up to be that giant monster.
Look, at the end of the day, he's a former world champion, and he won the greatest Rumble ever, where they had 50. What was that? Is that what they called it? Where they had 50 guys in there? Look, he did some good things. He was a member of the Wyatt family towards the end. He did some good things. I felt that the end for Braun, oddly enough, was when they started making Braun funny. Because the moment you do that, you take away the monster. And he was a very convincing monster. And I'll pinpoint it to his feud with Elias. It goes back to, and it was one of the funniest things I can ever remember seeing. Braun Strowman, during his feud with Elias, came out with a giant cello. Do you remember this? And he started plucking it. And of course, because he's a giant, he's a beast, he broke it. And it was hilarious. But then I thought to myself, oh, God, he's in a feud with a guy whose gimmick is cornered. And back then we did discuss how far can Elias go. He didn't go far because his gimmick is cornered. It's a cornered gimmick. And here's Strowman feuding with him, and he's breaking a cello. I said, what's next? Because I thought a Big Show. What's next? Strowman's coming out in a diaper? What's next?
That's,
Jimmy,
really great points. He's war's welcome.
That was it. Yeah, and that was it.
Here's one some of the wrestling idiots are all upset about, especially like LaGreca and Bully Ray. It's like Shayna Baszler, they blew it with her. They just blew it. She could have been a monster heel. I'll open up with this, Jimmy, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, go ahead.
She did not have it. She didn't look good. She couldn't speak. She couldn't wrestle. So just because she's a legitimate badass, okay? Like, I think I heard LaGreca say they could have made her, or it might have been Bully Ray, they could have made her the next Ronda Rousey. No, you couldn't, because Ronda Rousey looked good. She looked good. She just didn't look tough. She looked good. Shayna Baszler looks awful. She looks like an idiot. She can't speak. She never had it. In fact, I'm surprised they didn't cut her loose
years ago.
5 rounds ago. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, years ago. I'll tell you what, too, and I'm not the biggest fan of Ronda, especially with recent comments towards the WWE, their fans, et cetera, but that's an insult to what made Ronda Rousey work on her first run with the fans in the first place, because the difference between Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey is their MMA fighting resume. So don't tell me that Shayna Baszler is going to be the next Ronda Rousey. No, she's not. Ronda Rousey as you know, is very responsible for the women's evolution in the first place, Mike. You were there for evolution, and Ronda
Absolutely.
Rousey was the mainstream Tyson somewhat equivalent for women's wrestling when she came around. And unlike Tyson, she actually got in the ring and was over on that first round. She's a badass, and she was great. Okay? Shayna Baszler, the only thing you could do to optimize her ever, and you tell me if this is a long-term thing for anybody ever historically, for the most part, especially in women's wrestling, shut up, look tough, and stand next to somebody.
Right. And that's it. And
Do
then
not tell
eventually,
me that this is the next Ronda
but
Rousey.
Jimmy,
What the
eventually
fuck are
you have to
talking about?
become Kevin Nash. You know what I mean? Eventually you
Yeah,
have
you
to
better.
become the character.
You
That
better.
being the
Yeah.
heater only lasts for a certain amount of time. China evolved into a character that everybody enjoyed, that
Correct.
people were into.
Correct.
Kevin
And got
Nash
pushed
evolved.
and got pushed the right way, the same way Diesel got pushed the right way.
100%.
And I'll tell you who didn't push the right way. And here's a perfect example of someone who could have done something like that, but AEW doesn't know what they're doing anyway. The quiet big dude, Wardlow.
Yep.
You push him correctly, and yeah, maybe he could have been your Kevin Nash. But look what they did with Wardlow. They can't create anything.
I got to
over
tell
there.
you, I try to give AEW a
can't.
chance every Wednesday.
Oh, I'm
right?
surprised you do. Good for you.
I do, because I'm like, sooner or later, even I think to myself, if me and Jimmy were running a wrestling organization, we had this money, and we didn't know what we were doing.
Mhm.
Eventually, we would start to get it a little bit. They
Mhm.
just don't get it. It's like
Yeah.
you have all this talent, like an Adam Copeland. Like, when does a guy step up and go, Tony, listen, I was around Vince McMahon. I'm sorry. Let me help you be better, because you just
Mhm.
don't get it. And I want to go back to Ronda Rousey.
Mhm.
Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Mercedes Moné, Bailey, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair. They
Mhm.
all owe Ronda Rousey everything.
Yeah.
She
She had a lot to do
opened
with
the
everything.
door.
She did. Yes,
She
she did.
was
The
the
mainstream?
Hulk Hogan for women's wrestling. I am sorry. Without her, none of this happens. None of it.
I'll equate her more to a Tyson scenario than a Hulk Hogan. I mean, but I understand what you're getting at. She was definitely the propelling factor. Without her at that time with the women's evolution, no, it doesn't become as mainstream as it's become, and it definitely helped big time.
And that just,
Big
Jimmy, that
time.
just shows how smart the McMahon family is. That is
Oh, yeah.
Triple H, Vince McMahon, Shane, and
Uh-huh.
Stephanie. Stephanie had the forethought to know to bring her in because she wanted to evolve women's wrestling.
It was
And
brilliant.
she knew she needed that figure to make the difference. And that's what
Mhm.
they did. And that
Yep.
opening WrestleMania match with Triple H and Stephanie against Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey,
That
that thing was
awesome.
off the hook, right?
It was. That was great. And I usually don't like matches like that. You know that. I was like, whoa, that was
So when you
great.
go to a Tony Khan, it's like, what are you doing? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Another surprise. This one did surprise me a little, but she couldn't stay healthy, dude. And I really think this is the reason they got rid of her.
All right.
Dakota Kai. She just could not stay healthy.
You know, I never got it. I never got it with her. There was something very plain about it. I never even saw the potential for it to be anything big. You know, is she a good worker? Yeah, sure. You know, but aren't there a lot of good workers out there? Yeah.
Fair enough, dude. That's that's a fair
Sure,
statement.
you know,
I can't argue with you and say no, Dakota Kai. Yeah, you're right. I could totally understand someone just not getting it. I get it.
Could use an Oscar return. I'd like to see more Oscar. No, we'll never get tired of her.
More Oscar.
Yeah.
Also, poor CM Punk's friend Cora Jade got released.
No opinion.
Where's Cora? Hold on,
Yeah.
there she is. But here's a smart thing, ladies and gentlemen, and this
Yeah.
is really what people got to get. The
Yeah.
women have an advantage over the men that are released. It's just get on OnlyFans, dude. You're coming fresh out of your WWE tour. Follow the script of Mandy Rose, dude. Go on OnlyFans and boom, boom, boom. Start a podcast. bam, bam, bam. I mean, my God, we just spoke about Mercedes Moné acting like she's really on the other side of the phone answering your text messages.
Right.
Poor Jade goes on OnlyFans. She's going to make so much effing money. It's not even funny.
For God's sakes, though, don't start cooking in your, no,
you see, I'm going to tell you this. If you don't look like stupid Thunder Rosa in your underwear and you actually look like, let me ask you this. Mandy Rose cooking in her underwear.
Yeah, we got like 6 million views. Yeah.
Are you saying shut up and wrestle to that?
What, to Mandy?
Mandy cooking in her underwear.
First of all, Mandy's a genius. All right, let's just get that out of the way.
Get it out of the way. Yeah, she is a genius.
Get it out of the way. Our loss as wrestling fans is not just her monetary gain, but to me, it's a loss as wrestling fans. I liked Mandy Rose as the character and stuff, so I kind of bummed about the whole thing. But hey, who's laughing now? She is.
You ain't kidding. Kaden Carter got released. One half of the team.
Again, it's whatever land to me. Sorry to be so insensitive, but
I got to be honest with you, dude. I found her very attractive and very interesting. That's just me, though.
Yeah, you have a different take on her than I do. I'm like, nah, no thanks.
All right, next up, I know the names, but Gigi Dolan. Now, I'm sorry. She did have one of the greatest. A couple of years ago, we did that clip of her getting thrown through that door, right?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
The new Marty Jannetty, one of the greater vignettes, I want to call it.
So
right?
that's the claim to fame and released, huh? All right. Yeah. I don't care.
You're not a Gigi fan, didn't you?
No,
You did not find her particularly attractive either, right?
No, I'm not. No, I'm good.
These last two, I didn't even bother to put up pictures.
All right.
Actually,
Okay.
Joe Coffey and Mark Coffey, Wolfgang. I don't even know who the hell they were, dude. To be honest with you.
The Coffey brothers, I did know who they were. I thought that they might have some potential, but apparently not. You know.
How about Eddie Thorpe?
No, I have no thought on that either. God, there's like 87 pounds of shit in that 5-pound bag. No wonder they make cuts.
Jakara Jackson.
Again, they gave people opportunities. If it doesn't work out, hey, at least you get a fucking chance to try in the Ultimate Company. What can I tell you?
Riley Osborne.
If the name's not Ozzy, I really don't give a fuck.
Donnie Palmer.
Donnie Palmer. Is that the guy I got the bad pizza from the other day down on Front Beach? What are you talking about? I don't know. I don't even know who these people are. What were they even wrestling on NXT? Some of these names I don't recognize at all.
Again, I may watch NXT over so often. Honestly, there's too much wrestling. It's a lot, all week long. It's like you got Raw, then you got NXT alongside of Dark Side of the Ring, and then Sundays, all the WWE documentaries. I mean, my wife will kick my ass if I have this on all the time.
And then you got AEW on Wednesdays,
which I always try to catch, and I totally bail out like at least a half an hour in.
What do you think about Alberto Del Rio being somewhat under since they bought AAA in Mexico? That Alberto, people are melting down that Alberto Del Rio is technically, I guess, under contract with the WWE because they bought AAA.
I don't think you'll ever see Alberto Del Rio in a WWE ring again.
I don't think you will either. So what's everybody getting all crazy for?
Ever. It will never happen.
No.
Listen, as much as people are enjoying, Triple H's script writing with his team, Triple H also understands what the rules are. And the funny thing is, I think I heard this and I thought it was a very smart comment. Triple H, just like every other human being, is only as good as his last pay-per-view or his last event. The minute wrestling starts to fall, which it will, because it always does.
Yeah, it goes in cycles. Yeah.
It goes in cycles. That is a proven. If we did a data chart, I guarantee every 12th year it goes on a 4-year and then all of a sudden something happens and it gets hyped up again. again, everybody feels sorry for these wrestlers who are released. This is life, man. We all get fucking fired at one time or another. And it's like, here's the thing. A person like Cora Jade has so many other options to make crazy money. It's unbelievable. Who was the guy that we had on that we had the first interview with? I forget his name. Damon Kemp.
Okay.
Damon Kemp now is making music. He just released his first single.
Well, to hammer it home, up until obviously recent horrendous events that led to his arrest, think about it. Duke the Dumpster Droese, for God's sakes, for only from 94 to 96 was he in, relevancy working for the company, right?
Right.
Decades and decades later, he's still finding a way to make some side scratch off that shit. So yeah, especially today when you're young and your name's Cora Jade and you just worked where? Yeah, you can capitalize, hell yeah, with all these opportunities on the internet to make money. So am I going to feel bad for a young person that got let go from their dream job? No, because there's a million ways to continue to keep your name out there. You're involved in the wrestling business. You got to a certain level. Congratulations. Now you get all those dudes who are sending texts, nice Heine, to Mercedes Moné to come to your table and give you $5 to $20.
There you go.
The end.
I mean, think about it this way. Carmella, right? They let a contract right
I like
Sonya.
Carmella.
I do too. Sonya Deville, same thing. Do you know how much money Sonya Deville made at the big event? She gets brought in on a major contract, like $10,000, $20,000 just to sit there and sign autographs.
Right.
I mean, Carmella is headlining November's big event. You know how much money she's going to be making there? It's going to be off the hook.
Right.
Crazy money.
Right. Technically, she'd probably be good for the next calendar year if she knows how to manage her money. And that's just one appearance.
Next one appearance for the whole year covered.
You know,
come on,
Mike.
Man.
Are you gonna text to Mercedes Moné? You know that's her. She'll answer you. You know that, right?
Listen, dude, $99 a month. I mean,
wait.
F?
It's $99.99, but I want to know: is it plus tax?
Could be, bro.
Interesting.
You know, it's a good point.
Interesting.
Talk about gouging people. Like, where's the humanity? Like, Mercedes Moné doesn't have enough money. You got a $5 million contract from Tony Khan to literally work 1 day a week, or or 5, 6 times a month.
She's the best example of somebody I've seen capitalize on today's current financial deals in professional wrestling.
She's brilliant. She's brilliant, dude.
Well, you could say she's brilliant, and I'm not going to disagree because she's finding a million ways to gouge the public, and if she's getting away with it legally, good for her. I think that she hit her peak a long time ago, and I think she sucks. Personally, I'm sorry.
Tell me how you really feel.
Yeah, she sucks. You know,
all right, guys.
And I remember when she first got there, you're like, oh, she could be a needle mover. I'm like, she ain't gonna move nothing.
Dude, I've been so wrong about. I thought Paige was gonna be a needle mover. I clearly don't have a clue.
Listen, AEW did two things. Okay, you were like, maybe it goes aside. Maybe one day the squirrel will find the nut again. The squirrel had the nut. Okay, and they killed themselves on two different fronts. They took away. And I'm telling you, this is the truth, okay? They took away the brain, the real thinker, the one who set everything up and to begin with. When Cody left, they lost the brain to the body.
That was the killer. That was the killer.
It was the killer, but they needed to finish themselves off. So what did they do later? They took away the draw, CM Punk.
See, Jimmy, that's the thing. I don't mean to interrupt you. I agree with you. They made a huge mistake there. But we can't have revisionist history. Even with CM Punk, it wasn't working.
No, it wasn't doing what they wanted it to do, and I agree because we were all thinking maximum, like if it really works. Right. You got a 2 to 3 million watching every week. Okay, now we could talk like a 2.2, like WWE does, or whatever when they're maxing out. But to remove the only guy that's at least giving you $1 million, you're a fucking idiot. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's a true point.
You took away the brain. You took away Cody. And Cody built the whole fucking thing. I don't give a two fucks what Kenny Omega thinks or the Young Bucks think. I know for a fact Cody built the fucking thing. And he was making it work, and he was the brain frame. He understood the business. He understood it from his papa. He knew what he was fucking doing. And when it was time to go, he had the brains not only to just set that place up in good shape. When he left it, it was in much better shape than it is today. And he went to take care of himself because he's a genius.
But you know what? You're 100% right. Them leaving killed AEW, but it was almost a double whammy. Because you let Cody go and start one of the hottest angles with the hottest wrestler in the world that carried on for 2 years. Right. A 2-year storyline.
2 years.
And then you release a guy that clearly people didn't like, and you let the competition, at least the competition in your mind, get him, and then use him in some of the best storylines we've ever seen.
Absolutely. And you know what? They're so arrogant and self-absorbed with the inmates running the asylum and the fanboy cutting the checks. They don't, never once, I don't think it ever occurred to them that Triple H would be mature enough and smart enough to sit down with Phil Brooks. See, that's what happens when you fuck up. You get fucking arrogant and delusional. Right. Okay? They believe the shit that their fans tell them. You know, the same fans I've been laughing at since this whole thing started with this imaginary war. Okay, it's imaginary, all right? And it always has been imaginary because they let the brain go and then they let the draw go, and now you got nothing but the fanboy riding.
And I'm a true believer that Vince McMahon wanted to bring CM Punk back, but CM Punk just didn't like Vince McMahon.
Right.
Again, I always believed that Vince McMahon's dislike for CM Punk was clearly because his son-in-law disliked CM Punk, and he defended his son-in-law. Right. So, you know, again, strange issue. All right, Jimmy, we're almost out of here because we got shows tomorrow.
Yeah, we do.
At 7:30, we got 7 o'clock. I'm sorry, 7:30. We're sorry. We got the Berserker, John Nord in studio. What are you thinking about that, Jimmy?
I don't know what to think. It's the Berserker. Should I be nervous? I feel like I should be.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Do you think we can make him do a couple of husses? That will be fun.
I hope so.
Oh, maybe we'll play a game called Huss This.
Huss this.
Huss this.
I like that.
I'm going to build that for tomorrow. That's going to be exciting.
No, I like that. Okay.
Instead of hit it or quit it, we'll call it Huss This.
Yeah. If he likes it, all right. Husses. Yeah. Okay.
If he wants to hit it, like he wants to bang it.
Yeah.
Huss.
Yeah.
And he has to go like this.
I hope he.
Huss.
I hope he doesn't Curtis Axel on us. Take that photo down.
Dude, I got to tell you something. It's so funny you brought that up because I was watching that video because I was just watching it for some reason. I got scared. And, like, even again, it's like the guy's over the internet. It's not like he's even in studio. Like, what's he going to do? Do you hang up the phone?
Dude, I was looking under the table when that was happening. I was just like, oh, my God, man. What is this, Michael Myers? I wasn't expecting this.
She shook my... You think he was fucking wasted during that interview? Everybody's saying he was wasted.
I still don't feel that way. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm an expert on what wasted really is.
Right.
You know? And I'm like, no, I don't think it was that. I just think that he's...
Do you think there's some mental issues going on there?
No, I think that he's wound a little too tightly. At least he was that night, to be fair to him. That's what I think.
When you're coming on Monte DeFaro, I think people just get wound up because they just don't know what's coming.
No, they don't. There's plenty of guests, especially when we talk to them before we go on the air, where they're just, they get it.
Dude, I think they're a little wound up. I got to be honest with you. I think
so basically, when they first hear about, to being on our show, they go like, right.
Monty in the well, I don't know if they're doing that, but they're certainly like
that's weird.
On guard. On guard. Getting ready.
Guard. Dude, my own family members are on guard with me. What are you talking about?
And then at 9 o'clock, we have pro wrestling star Jordan Blue.
From, wait a second, where's she from?
I could care less.
Look at it. Do you remember when you told me that Jordan Blue was going to be on the show? What did I say to you? Do you remember?
You said I don't want to believe any blue in my shorts.
What? You need help badly. Stay off the dark web, you weirdo. You're weird. No, I said to you, Jordan Blue, what, that fat kid that worked in the warehouse back in Port Jefferson that was wrestling at Firehouse? I mean... that's what I thought. I was like, why are you bringing Jordan Blue from like 2017?
No, we're bringing on that, brother.
Are you going to bring a bib for that interview? Because I don't trust you in these situations.
This is a tough situation for me, man.
Oh,
It's
for
rough.
God's sakes. Thank God I'm comfortable in my own skin.
I'm
Good
looking
God.
forward to it. In fact, we should just rush
You
this
might be-
interview. Let's rush this interview so we can get to this interview. What do you think?
Yeah. Just hush a few
Hey,
times
Berserker,
and
how are you? Things are good? Okay, we'll see you later. Jordan Blue, welcome to Monty and the Pharaoh.
Oh my God, the hopes and dreams I had for this show when I first started. Go on.
You did have hopes. Jimmy had the envisionment of this great wrestling show.
Bill after you and me are gonna roast weenies together. It's gonna be awesome.
We're gonna
And
talk
Jordan
about
Napolitano's
wrestling and pay-per-views and interview some wrestlers. It's gonna be the greatest thing. But instead he
and
got
then Marty
hit
fell
it
out
or
of the
quit
way.
it with Jordan Blue.
I can't anymore. Oh, for God's sakes! Why are we not getting Shayna Baszler on? She's free.
Ugh, no, thank you. Oh my God.
You don't want to talk to Shayna Baszler?
No interest.
Wow.
Do you have interest in that? What am I going to talk to her about?
I don't know.
Makeup she put on it. Like,
Look,
would you?
we've been doing-
I'll give you the question. If we have her on, you're going to go. So Shayna, who came up with the stupid idea to put black eyeliner on you? Would you tell that? Would you ask that question?
Is Alice Cooper your idol? What do you think?
I think this.
Would you stop? What is wrong with you? Oh my God!
Just trying to be honest with you, bro.
That picture's very tame for you. I was expecting like on a beach, you know.
Shut up and wrestle.
I guess she can cook in her underwear, huh, Mikey?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'll watch that all day. I'll pay $9.99 for that. $99 a month.
One last thought, not to switch gears. Are you ready to jinx our New York Knicks now by proclaiming that, you've ordered parade floats or anything?
Shut up and wrestle.
I kind of think this may be the year.
Oh, God.
They've convinced me. I've fallen for it.
All
right, Jimmy, until tomorrow, I want to thank everybody again for joining us. Let me just run through the roll call. You know what, man? I'm going to come out of character because I want to be able to read names properly like a human being.
You ruined it for me. It's like when Freely
Jay
took his
Will,
makeup off.
Let's all play Huss. We'll see you. Walt,
Nice.
Maria Davis, love you.
What are you?
B40, the man.
40.
Walt. Walt says, Shayna, do you have a penis? That would be one of the questions I would give to Jimmy. That would be great. That would be great.
What's that? Oh, you want
Shayna,
me
do
to
you have a penis?
You would want me to ask that, huh? Yeah.
Yes, that would be great. Good
That's
short
great.
for the channel. It would be a great.
So can I rephrase it like push or pull? I mean,
yeah, that's fair. Guess who's here? Michael Fenster's here, who called me. He
What's
had a
up, Mike?
special guest for us. He said that he worked on with somebody, so it was his guest was. You ready for this, Jimmy?
What are you?
Because I know how upset you were about the Boogie Woogie Man that you didn't do that interview. You were mad about it.
I wasn't thrilled about it, but what are you
But
going to do?
but Fenster's come through. He's got us the Boogie Woogie Man's daughter.
Okay.
But hold on. It's
Yeah.
not really his daughter. She just acts like his daughter.
What is this? Butcher Blackwell's cousin? What are you talking about?
I'm telling you, Fenster called me and said, I've got her for you. I've got a great guest. I said, who is it? He goes, Jimmy Valiant's daughter. I go, really? And he goes, but it's not really his daughter. It's just someone that plays his daughter in wrestling. So.
Hey, I ever tell you that I'm Yoko Ono's son?
Let's all play. Mike Roderson, Jay Will. Who else we got there? I think Benny's old ass went to sleep on us.
What the fuck, Mike?
Jason Morning, love you, bro. Thank you for all the support.
Thank you.
Paul Shaw, another guy that's always there. Big Steve Kotenberg, how are you?
What up? What up?
I should really start like Bane. I love when Bane's on. Bane. People only see Hulk Hogan character and not Terry Bollea, who's human like the rest of us. Well
exactly.
Done. Humble C. Hogan is a compulsive BSer.
Yeah, well.
Why is that? Because he's old?
So's the chick down at the Lagoon Mart that I get my cigarettes from. What am I supposed to do?
His band. I'm glad to see he's back in town.
His band.
And then Phil DeCesare is
Mr. President.
Mr. President.
I wonder how Phil's taking this Celtics thing. What do you think there, Phil? Oh boy.
Well, that's it.
Hey, he's got a ring already from last year. So, like, can we have one, Phil? Thank you. It's been 52 years or whatever. Come on, give us one, will you?
All right, Jimmy, send us out, big man.
You've been watching Monty and the Pharaoh, and until tomorrow's, Mike, it's been a while, but until tomorrow's marathon, later.
Wait a minute, Jimmy.
Oh, no, here we go again. Shut up and wrestle.
No, now you ruined it.
Yeah, shut up and
Now
wrestle.
you ruined
See you
it.
tomorrow. Later.
Bye.